What's up, YouTube? Want to do a video on basically the importance of training and where you get it and who you get it from. YouTube's a great resource. I've learned a lot of things on YouTube over the years, and it's not a resource that was available 15 years ago, or at least not in the form it is today. You look at certain things. If I do a lot of Cerakote work, so I'll get a handgun I've never disassembled completely before. So I'll go to YouTube. That's my first stop. As I check it out, and usually there's a video on most modern style handguns and rifles and everything, how to completely disassemble. Guys do a real good job. There's a lot of great channels out there that do great work as far as showing detail strips put back together, and that doesn't just cover handguns. Working on your car or something. You can look up just about anything on YouTube nowadays. But I just want to cover some of the stuff I see on training. Some of these guys, because it's like all of us, it takes a phone and an account, to make a YouTube channel, just like I'm doing now. So anybody can do it, so it's cool because anybody can do it. But the kind of the backside, the edge of that is anybody can do it, so you really got to kind of watch who you take advice from, as far as certain trainings and go, especially with like when handguns and rifles, shooting's involved. It could be up to the point where it's dangerous. So you really got to kind of consider the source of where you're getting it from. And some of the, I guess I want to say is, YouTube shouldn't be a replacement for actual training. Unfortunately, it's hard. Even guys I work with or shoot with or whatever, a lot of them don't want to have the expense of training. Some training is expensive. They're like, oh, that's a new gun. I could buy a Glock for what it cost to attend a 2-day school over from XYZ or whatever. But at some point, if you got one gun, if you got 5 guns, if you got 10 guns, what point is it worth paying that money? Not buying another gun, but learning how to run the guns you have. And I see a lot of guys that don't want to commit to that expense. And I was the same way. If you go back when I started carrying a gun in 2002 is when I got my first CCW. So, we're looking at 15 years ago. And I didn't start taking training till, I think, 2008 or so is when I took my first training class. So I'd carried in, and I'd already started my career in law enforcement. And, to put it that way, that's probably the least amount of training I get is from my job, So that's definitely not an end-all, be-all, or any kind of stamp for credentials as far as me knowing anything, because that's really, like I said, the least amount of training I get is through my work. But a lot of people just don't want the expense. But it's hard till you actually take one to see the value in it. And it don't have to be from a super high-end instructor and whatever. It don't have to be a $500 or an $800 Travis Haley class or something like that. Even though he is an awesome instructor, and if you do ever get the chance, highly recommend it. But just to kind of go over, some of my credentials. These are just some of the stuff I was actually cleaning up, and some of the stuff I haven't mounted yet, and I can't really show them because I got my full name on all these. But this is tactical response. That was 2-day fighting rifle. This is a 2-day fighting pistol. I'm a lifetime member at Front Sight, which is in Pahrump, Nevada. This is a 4-day defensive handgun, and this is actually a distinguished graduate, which is kind of harder to get there than just a regular graduate. This is a Front Sight 2-day tactical handgun. I didn't DG that one when I graduated, but I didn't DG. This is a 4-day, this is actually my wife's certificate for a 4-day handgun. Through Front Sight. She's also a lifetime member. This is a Trident 2-day carbine class. And this is just ones I haven't framed yet. But when you look at cost, that's a lot of money there. In training, that would be quite a few nice handguns. In that stack of just that training there. Because even though I'm a lifetime member at Front Sight, whatever that time I spend, I got to pay for a hotel in Vegas. I got to pay for gas. Over there, I got to pay for ammunition. All that stuff, nothing's covered. I'm not sponsored by anybody. It's all out of pocket, but it's all kind of expenses that I justify, that I deem worth it. Because I carry a gun every day, on my person. So, I want to be proficient. I want that. I want to go through different instructors to see their point of view, what spin they have on it. See if I like that better. Like if I like this person's draw stroke better. Some things you learn at Tackle Response, they have a different draw stroke than a lot of other places. They have different ways of clearing malfunctions. Some of it was really cool. Some of it, I didn't utilize. I didn't put that. It's kind of tools in the toolbox, in the back of the mind there, but I didn't incorporate that into my training. When I go either do dry fire or I go to the range and stuff. And it's hard to practice, pulling from a holster. Most ranges won't let you do it, so you got to find a place to do that, to be able to draw from a holster. But it's not so much something that you can just grab off YouTube. I got some instructional videos on there, but I'm the first one if you watch the videos to tell you, hey, this doesn't replace professional training, because if someone's not standing there behind you, or watching you do it, the first 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, most of these classes you go to, even if they're low round counts, like that 4-day class, I couldn't even tell you how many presentations, from the holster we had. I mean, it was probably in the thousands, of presentations. It wasn't a high round count. You didn't shoot every time you pulled out, but it was, pulling out and dry firing, just getting the motion down, and someone's there watching you, correcting you, make sure you do it the right way, do it a safe way, and you'll be amazed at how fast you can improve, with just a 2-day class or something, with a competent instructor, someone who knows what they're doing, just showing you, just the basics, the fundamentals. Because I punch paper, I used to load up, this was my routine, twice a month. Me and a family member we had progressive reloaders, and they're set up at my house, and he'd come over Friday night, we'd load up 500 rounds. On a Friday night, Saturday we'd go to the range and we'd shoot them all. And we did that twice a month. So I'd shoot 1,000 rounds a month for I couldn't tell you how long. And I was great at punching paper, but that's all we do. If I could have that time back and actually train with those rounds, and actually get something out of it, I had enjoyment, it was fun. I had a blast doing it. But I, plateaued pretty quickly. I was always a decent shot, but I wasn't near as good, a shot as I am now, just because I didn't know the fundamentals back then. I knew, how to basically bang on the trigger and, run the sights a little bit, but I didn't know all the fine details and stuff like that. Now, I couldn't shoot, a dime-sized group at, 3 or 4 yards. I could shoot probably a softball-sized group at 5 yards, pretty consistently. Now I can do that fast. I can run a gun, pretty decent. And I'm not, here to brag, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but I do put the time in. As far as training goes, paying for classes, whatever. I do what it takes to make me feel confident that it's not in the back of my mind if I'm in a situation that goes bad. It's not in the back of my mind. Man, I really hope I can hit that guy, or I hope I can get all my rounds on target. I know I'm confident. I know what distances I can shoot good. What my limitations are, because I go and I push them. I try to go out a little farther here and there. I try to get faster. I run a shot timer. I try to get faster out of the holster. I know how long it takes me to get a gun out and get on target, put 2 rounds on it at 3 yards. I know all that stuff because I've done it over and over and over and over. So, and like I said, I'm not making this video any ways to like brag on myself or anything like that. It's just, if I would have known, 15 years ago what I know now, I would be such a better shooter, because it's not time lost, because I had fun, I put rounds down range, but I could have got so much more out of it. And that's what I'm trying to help you guys is, like, if you're new to CCW, or you've been thinking about, concealed carry, or you have been concealed carrying for 4 years, 6 years, whatever, how many professional trainings have you attended that wasn't state mandated? Because that's all I took back then. I had to take, the state says, hey, you have to take, I think back then it was 8 hours, 8 hours of training to get your CCW. So that's what I did. I took my 8 hours of training. After that, man, loaded my gun up, put it in my holster, and man, I'm hitting the streets. I got a concealed carry gun. And I could shoot, like I said, decent, but I didn't practice draw strokes back then. I didn't do any of that. I didn't practice finger control. Pressing out. And dry fire. I never did any of that. And I just wanted to kind of maybe help you guys, learn from my mistakes, because I made a ton of mistakes back then as far as, gear choices and training choices and, what I did. So, we all start somewhere, I guess you'd say. And I just wanted to, say, watch where you get your information from on YouTube to take to heart, and be serious about, because that guy may know something, You know, he may not. He might not know as much as you do, but he's putting a video out, you know. So if someone says something, if you ask them a specific reason why they do this way or that way, and they can't tell you why, that's a red flag. You know, you should know why you do everything. You know, why do I reload this way? Why do I take this, draw stroke? Why do I clear my garment with this method? You know, I do it because of this. I do it because of that. You know, why do you move when you draw? Why do you move when you reload? Why, all this kind of stuff, they should have an answer for why they do it. So, anyways, guys, like I said, I don't want to ramble on with it or whatever for an hour on it, but if I can give you one piece of advice is seek professional training. At least one, one time. Budget for it, if it takes you, 6 months to save up, put a little away, put $20 away a paycheck or something or whatever it takes to get to that. Schedule a class, and a lot of times you can schedule for 6 months, a year down the road. It doesn't have to be like spur of the moment. In fact, it's easier for those guys to do it, to fill classes up, as they go down the line. So, like I said, I just want to put it out there, guys. I don't want to ramble on about it, but seek professional training, budget for it. It really is worth the money. Take one, and then it may lead to more because you may enjoy it, a lot. And if nothing else, you'll learn something. I take away something from every training I've been to, and it's not, like I said, it's not groundbreaking. Once you've been to a few trainings, no one's going to have some groundbreaking thing because it's all kind of derivative from like Jeff Cooper's teachings or whatever, and they all kind of have, they put their little spin on it, and you learn their little spins that they put on it, as far as to make it theirs, that's how some of these, instructors make their money, but at least if you take one, you can take from it and you have something to practice on your own, because you're not going to learn everything in 2 days. They're going to teach you kind of how to do it, and then it'll be up to you later to, dry fire, to practice at the range, practice it here, do whatever. Because those 2 days, if all you do is take those 2 days and you never do nothing else with it, you're going to learn something, but you're just not going to, it's not going to be as beneficial as it could be for you if you, that's just basically a starting point, and then you go from there. You keep practicing what they've drilled into you those 2 days, those 4 days, or whatever. So I just want to put it out there, guys. Hopefully, you get something from this video. And like I said, if I would have listened to this advice 15 years ago, which I'm sure I wouldn't have, I'd be like, what's that guy know? But like I said, I'd be so much better of a shooter now than I am, because I wouldn't have lost that time. I would have, been able to take classes for the last 15 years. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. Thanks.